I'm actually surprised. We boys are not talking about this, but we are passing through a lot. As girls are passing through a lot. You have that, your monthly thing, yeah, it's so a lot, but we also surely need to involve a boy child. I don't know if procedure is right, Honorable Speaker, to come and disagree with what I've been discussing on. But that's my concern. If we are urging the government to do, we involve a boy child. I beg to submit.
Thank you very much. And that's why we have these parliamentary sessions. You're really free to disagree. Yes, please. And your concern has been noted. Right, honorable members, the motion still stands. The motion of the Western Youth Parliament urging government to enhance menstrual health. We'll move on to the next one on the order paper, which is the motion of the Western Youth Parliament. Motion of the Western Youth Parliament urging government to facilitate meaningful involvement of youth people in the ongoing implementation of the parish development model. I can hear some excitement in the room. I think this is a concern. And well, we will have the mover of the motion, Honorable Kihembo Julian.
Thank you, Madam Honorable Speaker. Once again, I'm Julian Chembo, and I'm here to move a motion before the floor of Parliament that the Western Youth Parliament urging the government to facilitate meaningful involvement of young people in the ongoing implementation talking about the parish development model. It is a program we've all heard about, facilitated by the government of Uganda as a mechanism of creating wealth amongst the citizens of the country. Parish development model was launched in February on the 26th, 2022 by the President of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, in Chibuku district in eastern Uganda. The initiative was generally to eradicate poverty among the people of this country, both the old and the young. But to our surprise, as the youth, we could or we could not be benefiting from the program on board, which is the parish development model, yet we belong to these parishes where the money was disseminated. The parish development model came with basically around 7 pillars, which among others, among the 7 pillars of the parish development model, we had to increase production, storage, processing and marketing of our own products in this country. Then it was to improve infrastructure in our country, or it is still, because the program is still running, to improve infrastructure, financial inclusion of the middle income and the high income and the low income, all the citizens in the country, social services to get close to us in our different parishes, then to change, to have a mindset change of the citizens of the country, that you can change from a subsistence system to an economy system, where you don't just grow for food, but rather grow and then make some money. Then finally was for governance and administration. Those are the 7 pillars of the parish development model. I come before this parliament to inform the members of the house that the youth, to some extent, or the young people, are not involved in the implementation of the parish development model program. Notwithstanding what is going on from the resources and the information on the ground from the different parishes in our country, we seek that government should help the youth to get actively involved in this implementation of the parish development model. I beg to move the motion.
I call upon the seconder of the motion, Mbarara.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members in the House, good afternoon. My name is Mbarara. I stand here to second the motion of the Western Youth Parliament urging government to I stand here to second the motion of the Western Youth Parliament urging the government to facilitate meaningful involvement of young people on the ongoing implementation of the parish development model. Recurring to what honorable member have tabled before the House, I second the motion.
Thank you. The motion is now open for debate. We'll receive contributions. You raise up your hand and yes, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm called Mugabe Samson. I'm here to second this motion. The motion says that Western Youth Parliament urging the government to facilitate meaningful involvement of youth people on the ongoing implementation of the parish development model. Here I second this motion. Where I'm coming from, this program of the government, they implemented the money to the youth, and some of our members, they have used this money to actually to do what? To improve themselves. Actually, the motion, how they are saying that the government has done a great thing, because the way how they implemented this program, it has helped many youth in Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable member. We are still receiving. Yes, please. We are receiving contributions.
Protocol observed. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And by name of blessing comes to me. Thank you. I've come to second the motion saying that the government has been able to facilitate the meaningful involvement of the young people on the implementation of the parish development model. We are so grateful for that because the government has already issued our money, especially for that of the parish development model. But for me, it is a suggestion because it is always challenging for us young youth, especially on our committee or on our village level, where most of the time when we are going to get that money, it is always a long process to get that money. So, Honorable Speaker, I'm asking or I'm urging if the government can be able to be ensured to access more money to be put aside, like involving streamlining application process, being able to allocate funds for young youth initiatives so that, you remember they always give 1 million, but that 1 M is not enough, that's the truth. Because you find you have a lot to do when you're going to start, in case like for us in our community, we have a Pigale project. So for sure that 1 M can't be enough. So I'm suggesting or I'm urging, if you can be able to speak on our behalf, that they can increase on that amount, like 5 M to be a startup, it can be meaningful. Thank you. I beg to submit.
Thank you for that submission. The motion is still open for debate. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. My name is Jared Arinity once again, and I support the motion. Uganda was ranked the second in having the largest number of a young population, with 78% being under 30 years. So, if government empowers such a generation, it will be good for the youth and for the government, both. When you look at a lot of youth want to go abroad to look for jobs. So Uganda exports labor, and yet Uganda needs labor. So if the government empowers the youth through PDM, one, it will take away job search, which is very essential to the government itself through tax collections and other things. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it, for sure, that's it.
Thank you, Honorable Member. We now invite another contribution from the House. We'll have him put up his hand first. Honorable Muhammad. You will speak after him.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I come here to support the motion of Western Youth Parliament urging the government of Uganda to facilitate meaningful involvement of young people in the ongoing implementation of the parish development model. First of all, I want to thank the move of this motion because she has moved the motion that is really relevant at the right time, especially to the concern of the youth. Parish development model, she has given a good background on how it started and how it is implemented. In Runyankore, we have a proverb that wano kubaroburo no tandkano buryo mbijere byao. If I'm to begin from here, I know we are all youth. How many of us have benefited from parish development model? You can put up your hand just. We only have 4 from the whole house. Right Honorable Speaker, if the youth are to get involved effectively in this parish development model, we have to get involved not just in statistics. We know when this money comes to the parish level, 30% is supposed to go to the youth. I think we all know that. But how many of us in our parishes have confirmed that 30% have gotten that money? When you look at the committees, the parish development committees at every parish, do they have a youth representative? Right Honorable Speaker, last month I was elected as the parish chairperson of Ntambazi Parish in Kazo Sub-County, Kazo District. But there is no any step that has been taken to recruit me on the parish development model committee of my parish in Ntambazi. Then if a leader of the youth is not involved in its implementation at a parish level, how will the youth gain from this project? Right Honorable Speaker, I call upon the government to involve youth at least at every parish. Youth chairpersons and youth committees should be also involved on the youth parish development modalities. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honorable. I'll invite another speaker.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I'm here to support the motion of Western Youth Parliament urging the government to facilitate meaningful involvement of young people or in the ongoing implementation of PDM. My key point is on this pillar number 3. Pillar number 3, it's on financial inclusion. We first thank the government for planning to put the parish development model in our parishes or wards. This parish development model has its disadvantages and advantages when it comes to youth, whereby on the guidelines that were put by the President of Uganda, youth were they have 30% every financial year. Every financial year, the government releases 100 million. And when you calculate 100 million by 30%, that is 30 million per ward for youth to benefit. But the problem we have found that many youth, they are not in associations, whereby that money passes through associations. I'm the General Secretary in our parish on the Committee of Parish Development Model. But among 300 millions that are already given out to the people in our ward, we have like only 15 youth who have benefited in the whole ward, instead of 90 millions. Because youth, right now, per ward, youth are supposed to be every ward. If we are to survey every ward, there must be 90 millions already given out to the youth, but it's not. Why? There is a lot of bribery, a lot of corruption to the money that are given out by the government, whereby the chairpersons of the parish development model, they are asking money before they give out the money to the concerned people. Even that money is for only poor people, poor youth. How can you tell me that I'm below 39% and you are asking me 200,000? First give you 200,000, then you give me the money, since I don't have that money. So there is corruption. I usually base on socio-economic transformation of the youth. We thank the government of Uganda for providing parish development model because it has boosted our socio-economic transformation really. Most of the youth who have benefited, like me, I have already benefited 1 million. In reality, that 1 million, if you use it well, 1 million, you benefit. In 3 years, you may find that you have started, let's take an example, you have bought your 4 goats. In every year, that goat can produce like 6. So, really, the government have helped us to boost our economy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable. I'll invite you to take the floor.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you for bringing this motion onto the chair. Protocol observed, I've come here to support this motion, which says that motion of the Western Youth Parliament urging the government to facilitate meaningful involvement of young people in the ongoing implementation of the parish development model. I support this motion 100%. First and foremost, I'm by name of Nogaro Simon. Parish, we first thank the government for bringing this program on board and on parish levels. I myself am the PDM Circle Chairperson in the ward I'm coming from. But we are facing a challenge of lack of sensitization. Youth is supposed to get 30% on every money which is deposited on the SECO account. But unfortunately, youth, they lack sensitization. They don't know, of which I think I blame the government, which is not bringing more funds to people who are supposed to be seeing what is happening on the ground. Again, leaders even of the youth, they were neglected. They were neglected because we have the PDC committee, which is supposed to be underlooking or trying to supervise that program, supervising the PDM circle members. But at most, due to corruption, you find that the youth is neglected who is supposed to be on that committee. Then again, youth, they are not aware of making these associations, because it was brought out by a person who is to benefit to pass via the association. So most of those people, since that program was brought to help the poor people, you find that a poor person is even poor in brain, so they don't know how to make an association. They don't know how to formulate what we call constitution to help him or her to benefit from PDM. So we urge the government try to sensitize our youth such that they can benefit on PDM. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honorable, for that submission. We'll have one last Honorable Speaker give us the contribution to this motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I stand again to second the motion of the Western Parliament urging government to facilitate meaningful involvement of young people on the ongoing implementation of the parish development model. Allow me, members, to thank the government for this implementation. Like my brother have said that the youth lack sensitization. But then I would like to request all of us here, if you're informed, kindly inform someone else. Because we are different, we come from different places, and even the way we get information at times are different. You may be able to access the information so quick, so kindly please, I request all of us, when you're informed, at least inform some other member. And like my sister have said on the 7 pillars of parish development model, among the 7 pillars we have production, processing, and marketing. And at least our government have tried to put them in press. But then, coming down on the ground, where we do expect the youth to take press, like my colleagues have said that there is 30% that are supposed to be distributed at parish level. But then I just want to encourage all of us, the little we have, like my brother have said about corruption, yes it is, but then if you have 200 and you're requested to give 200 and you get 1 million, I don't see a problem with that. Because you're getting, I don't know, please try to get me. Because when I have only 200 and I'm told to give 200 to get 1 million, meaning that I'm giving 200 to get 800,000. Then we try to utilize the small amount of money that we are. Because when you fail to utilize the small amount of money you're given, my dear friends, even the ones you're yearning to get, you will fail to utilize it. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable, for that contribution. Honorable members, the motion still stands. Motion of the Western Youth Parliament urging the government to facilitate meaningful involvement of young people in the ongoing implementation of the parish development model. Those that are in favor of the motion, you say aye. And if you are in disagreement, you can say no. Do we have a no? Aye? All right. Let's move on to the next motion on the order paper. Motion of the Western Youth Parliament urging the government to enhance the relevance of special interest groups representation, especially the youth, who constitute 70% of the total Ugandan population. I call upon Muhumuza Dennis to move the motion.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members. My name is Muhumuza Dennis Turiatemba. I'm a youth chairperson of Ntambaz Parish, Kazo Sub-County, aspiring Secretary of Finance, Kazo Sub-County, a second-year law student at Bishop Stewart University, and I'm glad to be here. Right Honorable Speaker, I hereby move a motion of the Western Youth Parliament urging the government of Uganda to enhance the relevance of special interest groups, representations, especially the youth, especially with the youth who constitute 70% of the total Uganda population. Right Honorable Speaker, in line with the demographic and future aspirations of our nation, acknowledging that over 70% of the population is below the age of 30, yet it remains underrepresented in the national decision-making framework. Whereas we know that National Youth Council has been established, but we really know the truth that the Parliament of Uganda is the main body where decisions that govern this country are made. Right Honorable Speaker, Article 78 of the Constitution provides for the composition of Parliament, and Clause C of the same Article 78 provides for the representation of other special interest groups where we as the youth fall. Right Honorable Speaker, whereas the Parliament comprises of over 500 members, only 5 slots are allocated to youth representatives, amounting to less than 1% of the total members of the House. Yet we make over 70% of the population. Less than 1% of the House, but over 75% of the population. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm not undermining women and I'm not attacking them, but whereas women who make up to 51% of the population have a representative at a district level, the youth who are numerous are confined to regional level with only 5 voices in the Parliament. I call this a disparity that undermines the principle of equity and inclusivity. Right Honorable Speaker, a mere district like Isinjiro, I'm not attacking Isinjiro. Isinjiro alone, with an estimated population of around 500 people in a district, has 5 members of Parliament representing it in the Parliament. But the whole population of the youth, over 75%, that means we are over 20 million. We only have 5 representatives in the Parliament. Isinjiro, with 500,000 population, has 5 representatives. And we who are over 20 million also have 5 representatives in the Parliament. I think this is unfair, Right Honorable Speaker. With such representation, how do you expect us to have equal share on the national cake? That's impossible. Right Honorable Speaker, therefore, I move that this House urges the government of Uganda to amend the relevant laws to increase youth representation in the Parliament from 5 regional youth representatives to 15 sub-regional youth representatives. I know we are not happy with the size of our Parliament, over 500. It is too big, but out of that 500, only 5 are youth, less than 1%. Therefore, that's why I'm urging the government to include at least 15%. Let youth be represented at the sub-regional level. We've seen women being represented at a district level, but youth at a regional level. I call upon this House to urge the government to accept and allow youth to be represented at a sub-regional level. At least from there, we shall be having 15. They will not be enough, but it will be better than having only 5 to articulate the issues of 20 million people. Right Honorable Speaker, I also urge this House to call upon the Electoral Commission to review the structure, to review and restructure youth electoral colleges to reflect the change we are begging for. Let Electoral Commission also put this in implementation. We've seen constituencies being increased day by day, but constituencies concerning with the youth, they have never been increased since the time they were put. Right Honorable Speaker, I also urge you, basing on the motion, that this House demands the government for a proportional increase in the national budget allocations for youth programs tied to demographic weight and economic potential of Uganda's population. If we are the majority, but in the budgeting we are given the least percentage, and you want the country to develop, then how is the country going to develop when you are budgeting less for the majority citizens of this country? Lastly, I urge this House to urge and demand the increased funding and visibility of National Youth Council and other statutory institutions that amplify grassroots participation of young people. We all know that National Youth Council, the body that governs the whole youth in Uganda, is given less funding. We all know that and we know the truth. We urge the government to increase this funding because if they are the majority and you are giving them less than 4 billion, the other time it was cut to 800 million. The largest population of the country, you are giving them 800. We urge the government to put that in consideration. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move the motion.
Thank you, Honorable Dennis. We call upon the seconder, Honorable Chomdisha Rinas.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members. My name is Chomdisha Rinas, and I'm here to second the motion. Motion of the Western Youth Parliament urging the government to enhance the relevance of special interest groups representation, especially the youth who constitute 70% of the total Ugandan population. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable. With our motion seconded, I therefore open the floor for our different contributions. Our motion is open for debate. Yes, please, Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm here to appreciate the motion mover because it's relevant at the time. And I want to support it with the following views. One, the current siege structures are symbolic, not functional. I believe most of us here are youth leaders, and you're all aware of how we only meet during elections. We meet during elections, and when elections are done, we have to sit and wait for 5 years. At the end of the term, that's when we meet. There is no specific budget for the youth, especially those on lower levels, those on LC1, LC2, and maybe the division. Most of the times, youth who are at NYC, which I believe we have none here, are the ones who know more about the budget for the youth. But it has never been decentralized to the grassroots, so that these people who are also on the youth committee at the grassroots benefit from such. Therefore, I urge the government to also put into some measures on how the youth on grassroots can benefit can benefit and their interests are protected. And another thing is about democratic imbalance. The Honorable Speaker, the move of the motion, mentioned about the 1% and the 5 voices representing the 75 population of the youth, which I believe it's a very low population as far as the youth interests are concerned. And therefore, we urge the government to increase the number of political positions, especially for youth, since they are many, and this 1% cannot argue with the 75, the remaining percentage, so that the youth issues are tabled and are heard. And another thing, it's also a constitutional obligation. For example, Article 32 provides for the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, provides for affirmative action. And youth being the marginalized group, it's upon the government now to protect the interests of the youth who are marginalized. And how are the interests going to be protected? It means they have to put some measures so that youth are brought on board and also have effective representation. I support the motion.
Thank you, Honorable. Honorable members, if you have any contribution to make, kindly raise your hand. Yes, please, Honorable. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I support the motion. However, while supporting this motion, I would like us to put this into consideration. One, of Uganda has 556 members of parliament. Some of them are youth. For example, Mwinempaka, the one of here, is a youth. So why don't those members of parliament address of the youth? Secondly, we have to put into consideration the political factor, whereby you see, we have to reduce on the constituencies so as to put a vacancy for the youth. Who will that be and where will that be? Because adding a parliament of 556 members of parliament, adding more, now affects everyone, whereby we shall pay taxes and taxes. Another one. When we talk of the youth, some of the youth are segregated and discriminated, especially boy child. When we talked of, I've forgotten it, but where they add female some points, we also have to put that into consideration, that some of the youth suffer discrimination, especially boy child. So while I support that motion, those are the few things that I wanted us to put into consideration in support of the same. Thank you.
Point of information accepted.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I wanted to inform the precarious speaker, but he has left the stage. I pray you permit me to continue and inform. He has submitted that in Parliament we have members of Parliament who are young. He gave an example of Mwinempaka. But Mwinempaka is in Parliament not representing the youth. He has issues of Mbarara City South to articulate and table on the floor of Parliament. He will not give attention. Actually, he's a former youth member of Parliament. By then, he was articulating and tabling issues concerning the youth. But even if he's young and he's not representing the youth in Parliament, he's not going to give out their issues. Thank you so much.
You're allowed. In a minute, like you've said.
Thank you. The former speaker, I would like to respond to him. That was my concern, and I didn't necessarily alone. The Parliament of Uganda is youthful. If a year has how many days? 300 and... Okay. In a year, you cannot say every day he is addressing issues of Mbarara. At least find a time and address issues of the youth. That's one. I was trying, Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker was trying to clarify on where, let's say, they cannot pave way or they cannot create space for the youth. What could be done? What to put into consideration? I was actually not saying that the youth are represented properly and well and efficiently. They are not. But what if? That's what we can put into consideration. Yeah. So in 12 months and in the Chisanja of 5 years, you cannot tell me you are a youth and in your constituency there are youth and there are also youth committees and you cannot address any issue from the youth committees. That is improper. So let youthful MPs also address issues of the youth. The same also applies to the elderly, though since they are not the subject matter today, for another day. Thank you.
Honorable, it seems you have a lot of honorable members that want to inform you. Point of information taken.
The protocol observed. Kiza Joab is my name, and I wish to inform the current speaker, who is out of the floor. In Uganda today, a youth is 30 years and below. So when we talk about youth, and you bring Mine Paka, who is now 34, he's no longer a youth. I think let's target the youth of 30 years and below from the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion is still open for debate. If you want to contribute, kindly raise up your hand. I'd seen a hand behind. Do you still want to? Honorable members, as the question still stands, should the government enhance the relevance of special interest groups, representation especially the youth who constitute 70% of the total Ugandan population? Honorable, you are welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Speaking about the youth being below 30 and something, the youthful MPs in Parliament, I think that was not the issue at hand. The issue was how can the government help us, the youth, benefit from what is going on, including its programs, its involvement of us, the youth, in whatever is going on. Very many issues of the government, the youth are left out. The first one we started with the legislature in Parliament. There are few youth. So if you can't make a law by yourself, so which cake are we sharing? You even don't know the cake they are talking about because you cannot make the law. That is one. If you can't make the law, we have other programs moving on in government. You've not participated in the legislature, which is in parliament. So it means you just concur. Now, if you became a victim of the law under the judiciary as a youth, we see very many youth in prison, in court, in wherever, they actually don't know what is going on. Someone is sentenced, but they don't know. They are even arrested, they don't know what to do. They just die as victims of whatever it is in their own country. So my issue is, we should urge the government to help us, the youth, get actively involved. The involvement we have is just in statistics, that youth form this, youth, but are we actually on the table? The issue is, we are not served on table, and we are not even on the table. We are not even on the menu. So where are we? We are just talked about that we are in the kitchen, but are we even there? We are not on the menu, we are not on the table, actually we are not even in the kitchen. So we urge the government, if we can't be on the menu, at least let us be on the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I am here to second the motion that is currently on heat. Article 51, Section 1, and 78, Section 1, Part C of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, it mandates the representation of special interest groups, including youth, women, persons with disability, workers, and the army in the parliament. But today our motion is centralizing on the youth. It is true we have many members of parliament who are youth, but they are not sent on the mandate of the youth. So we cannot hold them accountable. So I am seconding the motion that there should be an increase in the youth representation in the Parliament of Uganda. Because 5 members of parliament to be handling 70% of the Ugandan population, we are overwhelming them. That's why we are not seeing results. Do we agree? We are not seeing results of these 5 MPs because they are overwhelmed. You cannot be to represent over 30-something million when you are 5. That means some areas of the youth are going to be neglected. For example, we have youth who are talented. We need someone there to advocate specifically for the talent of the youth. We need a representative to talk about skilling, technical education or vocational training for the youth. So we cannot put all the issues of the youth in Uganda on only 5 members of parliament. Colleagues, let's second this motion. The mandate is so wide that the 5 comprehend. That's why we don't see visible results, because they're overwhelmed, and they're also undermined because of their numbers. And also, we have 14 million Ugandans who live with disabilities. Even as we are specializing on the youth today, we also include them in our motion today, that there be more representation of the people living with disabilities. We are requesting the government, specifically the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, together with the Electoral Commission, to undertake exclusive consultations on the youth when they're implementing their programs, because for them, they know technically how to handle it, but they are not on ground to know what actually the youth could ground, what they need. So I'm requesting that as we are moving this motion, let there be a point that there should be exclusive consultations of the youth. And also the government to invest in youth-focused projects and also mentorship programs. We need them as the youth to be spearheaded by the government of Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Do you have any more contributions? Yes, please, Honorable. The floor is yours. We'll have only two from the two gentlemen.
Okay, thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I am Edgar Mtungisa. For this session, I'm presenting Ibanda. So I do also rise to support the motion for the House that we indeed have to enhance relevance of special interest groups representation that constitute 70%. I think the first members have already mentioned on how we are demographically and therefore we deserve to be there. The only issue I'm going to highlight, Honorable Speaker, is the idea that even when the youth structures have already been in existence, but their relevance has not been so much felt or realized. We say, for instance, that all the youth structures that we have in the country are very vibrant during elections, and later after elections, they are dead. So to that extent, those structures become irrelevant. So this motion, Honorable Chair, would be for me to urge that we indeed have those structures to consistently be able to work and deliver, even long after the elections. We cannot perpetuate to have youth structures and involvement with structures that are simply ad hoc and that are irrelevant during elections. It defeats the purpose, it defeats the nuance, and it continues to make all these youth structures very tokenistic. I rise. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable. Let's invite another Honorable member to submit his contribution.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. As we are all saying, the youth are not involved in structures or structures, but we have to have it in our top of minds. There is no way 130 youth, 130 youth are going to choose for one youth to represent millions of youth. So my concern is we would wish the parliament or the government to change the structures whereby every youth is involved in electing their own leaders. For example, if we are Western youth, there is no way the delegates are going to choose for us a leader. Actually, most youth know their leaders. Is it true? I personally don't know even my national youth MP. I don't know. Because I'm not involved in voting. And I will not blame the parliament. We blame ourselves. With the youth, if you cannot push for the voice and be participating and we elect our own leaders, we will always keep complaining. I beg to submit.
We'll receive the last submission from the Honorable Member.
much, Right Honorable Speaker, and protocol observed. I'm here to support the motion of the Western Youth Parliament urging the government to enhance the relevance of special interest groups representing especially the youth who constitute 70% of the total Uganda population. To me, my concern is on the age. I think most of us, we already serve one term because most of us, we are just from schooling. You find that a youth have completed his or her studies when he's at least 26 around. That's when we'll be done with campus or like those studies. Then when you entered into leadership, you end up maybe leading with one term. Then when one term ends, you find that you don't have another opportunity to lead for another term. When actually you have tried at least to understand problems concerning with the youth. At least when you are to be given like the second term, that's when you can solve those people's youth. But you find that someone has gone into parliament or any other position, so you lead one term. After one term, you find that like Ronald is out. Now do you bring in another ship? You get me? So I think the government should add on the age of the youth. If it is 30, at least they put it on 35. I submit.
Thank you for that submission. Honorable members, our motion still is motion of the Western Youth Parliament urging government to enhance the relevance of social interest groups representation, especially the youth who constitute 70% of the total Ugandan population. Those in favor of the motion, say aye. Those that disagree, say no. All right. Honorable members, we will now come to the conclusion of our motions on today's order paper. Thank you for your engagement and thoughtful debate. We shall proceed to the next item on the order paper, which is the review of the resolutions from this sitting. So we'll move on to the review of the resolutions from this parliament session, and I will call upon our clerks to take us through.
Good afternoon, everyone. The first motion was moved as follows. The motion of the Western Youth Parliament government to disseminate information on safe migration and climate adaptation, especially now that the movement of young people for the better opportunities is rampant and climate change is an existential crisis like never before. The mover was Honorable Melissa. I remember these were the resolutions. The first point was accessing safety worth information that is about dignity, safety, and fairness, to keep safe migration and climate change, which may build trust for these young people to move for safe and climate adaptation. The second point was legality of the movement procedures. Maybe this is through making sure that the more legal movement so that things get visible for safe migration without any challenges. Then the second motion was motion of the Western Youth Parliament urging government to enhance menstrual health for youth, for young women and girls through awareness campaigns and subsidizing menstrual hygiene products. The motion mover was Toshemelire Shadia, the alumni Menstrual Justice Academy. The points under this motion were the government should invest more funds to the menstrual health through funding the manufacturers, then promoting local manufacturers who make other options for this menstrual health, such as reusable pads. Then the other point was reducing taxes for the manufacturing companies. Then promoting more awareness in schools through embedding skinning in these new curriculums so as to make these young girls be sure and know how to make these reusable pads and other options. Then reducing or subsidizing the prices incurred on these sanitary towels or pads so that they can be accessed by everyone in the country. Then making more open discussions to the public or to the young women and girls so that they can be aware of the menstrual health. Then creating counseling moments to reduce mental disorderness that can be caused by these menstruals. Then the third motion was motion of the Western Youth Parliament urging the government to facilitate meaningful involvement of young people in the ongoing implementation of the parish development model. The motion mover was Chihembo Junior, and then contributions from the audience. The points under this motion were streamlining application procedures, that is shortening the procedures so that every youth should be able to access PDM. Then providing aside programs for these youth in case this PDM money is not enough for the youth. Then empowering the youth into the PDM committees or making aside youth committees in charge of the PDM so that the youth are able to access these funds directly. Then the government should reduce corruption that is within the PDM committees. Then sensitizing more about the youth so that they can be able to know about what is PDM and the procedures that should be followed. Then the last motion was the motion of the Western Youth Parliament urging the government to enhance the relevancy of special interest groups representation, especially the youth who constitute 70% of the total Ugandan population. The resolutions were increase more political positions in the parliament so as to articulate issues or challenges of the youth. Then increase on the percentage of representations in the government, that is 15%, as it was said by the motion mover, Honorable Muhumuza, to increase at least increase to 15% representations of the youth on the special interest groups in Parliament. Then increase funding or provide fundings for these youth programs or organizations such as the National Youth Council, so that the youth should be able to increase or should be able to put out their complaints in these organizations frequently. And then the government should urge these existing special interest groups the government should make more vibrant the special interest groups that are existing, so that even after elections, so that they can create more impact is for the youth especially. Then the last point was increasing the age limit of the youth so that they can be able to access more resources from the government of Uganda. Those were the resolutions from the parliamentary session today.
Thank you. With that, therefore, we'll move on to the next item, the order paper, which is adjournment. Honorable members, with all business concluded, I take this opportunity to commend you for your participation and decorum throughout the session. To our hosts, the African Youth Federation and Faraja Africa Foundation, thank you for organizing such insightful sessions. This gives hope to the youth that their voices are being heard. With this, therefore, I hereby take the opportunity to adjourn. Honorable members, I would invite all of us to stand up as we adjourn the session. With this, therefore, I hereby adjourn the sitting of the Western Youth Parliament. Thank you.
You can sit down.
Anyway, thank you once again. I don't want to waste so much time, and I must say you have been a very good audience, good members of Parliament. We all appreciate every day is a learning process. So without wasting time, allow me to invite Sharon from Faraja to give closing remarks. Then I also have an announcement. Orukumanya ngutaka yandikise nanyi aine kundonda. Aine kuhandika mpapuro ishatu tukwe ishatu one month wandika mpapuro ishatu aine kundonda.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
I thank you all once again for your deliberations. I'd like to inform you that the National Youth Parliament call is running. And it is in, if you get your phones, I see most of you have smartphones. If you check our pages, our social media pages, kindly take time to apply if you're interested and see how best you can participate. Normally we have complaints on people being left out, so on and so forth, but the earlier the better. This is why we had to make sure that the call is running so that every region is able to, apply smoothly. Secondly, some of you will be interviewed. Kindly take time to communicate with the communications team. They'll be conducting interviews. If you have anything critical and you'd love to be part of it, please do reach out. Finally, thank you once again for your time and for coming. Please don't leave without eating lunch. Feel free to network as it is being set up. Thank you once again. Have a great day.
Faraja TV, authentic African voices.